All right, what's up, guys? Volume three, as I mentioned, is all gonna focus on execution. Um, you're gonna see some stuff from volume two in which we weren't able to execute, but we were able to execute here in this particular game. This is a game against Magnolia. At Magnolia, it's a tournament that we had earlier on in the season. It's a game in the middle of the day, and so they've got their student body, in and out. So it's a true home game for them. Um, and I think that this is probably one of the best stretches of the season, especially early on that we had in terms of executing both offensively and defensively. We go into the half up seven, and we were able to talk both offensively and defensively, kind of make some adjustments. And I think our team really responded really well to those adjustments, as you'll see here. So straight out of the half, it's our ball. We get an inbound, and we call the play. Hines called the play in the locker room. We come out. This is a play that you saw in volume two that we weren't able to execute because we weren't able to get the screens set, the staggers on the opposite side of the floor. But here we're able to. Right, Dylan pops. They do a good job of taking away this back door. Okay, but Dom does a really good job of running his man. Right, the defender straight into JD, who's there for the screen. Right, Umber probably needs to be a little bit deeper to get this screen set, but doesn't matter because all Dom needs is just an inch of daylight, which he gets here from about 28 foot out, gets his feet to the ball and does a really good job, knocks it down. Then here you'll see defensively, we've got a drill that we do 3-on-3 jump to the ball. And these next couple of defensive possessions, you'll see guys playing really good off-ball defense, right? Not just on-ball defense, but off-ball defense. You'll see the defender. This is what we harp on in the drill is that once this ball is passed to either wing, getting off and into the passing lane, so that you're not front cut and give up a layup, and then you sink, butt to the baseline, and you see both your man and the ball. I think Dylan does a really, really good job of doing that here. Right, he gets off into the passing lane, he sinks, and he's able to stop penetration right there and force a kick out. Right, we're scrambling defensively. Now we're back in it. Okay, again, he gets off. He's seeing both. He's talking. Rodney's talking to him. Right, and JD is able to get his hand in there, calls a deflection and a turnover. Going the other way. Right here, you'll see, again, this is a similar situation to what happened in Volume 2. It led into kind of a turnover by shot. It was on a fast break transition situation where JD got the ball to the middle of the floor, and there was a defender here. Dylan was deeper in the corner, right, and he should have kicked it to Dylan, but because he went there goofy, off the wrong foot and off of 1 foot, he had no option. There's only two options were obviously to shoot the ball or to pass. You never want to jump to pass, not in that situation, especially when you can't see who you're passing the ball to, right? But here he does a really good job of getting to the middle, attacking the closeout, right? Pass is coming from the corner, from the wing area, back up to the top, to the seam. JD does a good job of attacking middle, right? Paint collapses, off of shooters. He gets in there off 2 feet and is able to hit Dylan, right? Attacks a closeout, good move, kick out, big 6-0 run to start the quarter. Right, again, defensively, JD's up top now. He does a really good job. Watch him. Pass is made. He kind of jumps to the ball and he sinks, and he's seeing this next guy coming. Does a good job of reading. When we get out and run the break, Rodney does a really good job of running the floor there. We had options. JD did a good job of pushing it. JD also did a really good job of that ball was in his right hand, right? Obviously, this defender is right here on his right side. And when we're doing or layups or anything in transition. When you're on the left side of the floor, use your left hand. When you're on the right side of the floor, use your right hand. Okay, he does a good job of switching it over to protect the ball from the defender, right, who was looking to run through all along, right? If that ball's on JD's right side, he's able to back tip and probably get a bob situation here instead of a layup, or he runs through and rips him. But he does a good job. Rodney does a really good job of running the floor. And we come out on an 8-0 run. Right here, you'll just see just a little bit of desperation. Nothing's going right for them offensively. They're now in a 15-point hole. Right, they've turned the ball over on consecutive trips down the floor. So instead of being patient running his offense, he just takes a desperation shot. We get bodies in the paint. Right, this is something that we talked about in Volume 2 as well. Shot goes up. Right, we've got a good contest. Umber does a really good job of, as soon as the shot goes up, finding a guy and making contact. Right, JD's here. You'll see Rodney come, and you also see Dom come. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 white jerseys here to go ahead and get this rebound and then get out and run. All right. There were a couple of empty possessions there both ways. So we're going to fast forward just a little bit. Okay, here's another possession, same score. We're up 15, 40-25, still on an 8-0 run. And you'll see here defensively, guys are just flying around. This is a pretty long possession defensively. I cut a little bit of it. But JD's sinking. He's seeing both. Right now, Rodney should probably get off and be on the midline. Right, he should get off and kind of be on the midline and see this guy. We're not worried about this guy right now. Okay, but Dylan does a good job of sinking. He's seeing, he's pointing, right? Sounds off, but guys are talking. You wouldn't be able to hear him anyways, but guys are talking. Right, we're flying out, closing out on shooters. We're protecting the paint, and we force a travel right there. All right, we have segments in practice sometimes where we emphasize paint touches and keeping guys out of the paint. Right here, Hines is giving the guys a call. Right, the call is echoed on the bench. The call is echoed on the floor. We're really in a groove offensively right now when we get out and run it to perfection. Just a little backdoor action right there. Papa Glover loving it. And the Vikes are rolling. It's a 10-0 run to start. Really good possession right there. Really good possession defensively. Okay, for Umber not to foul there, just go straight up. Dylan gets beat back door. Right. Hand in the passing lane. Okay, this is a rule that we have in our program as well, right? A foot outside the three-point line is an automatic back cut. It's something I've been talking to our freshmen about, something I still talk to our guys at the JV varsity level about too. But, when guys are overzealous defensively, right, like we are right now, they've turned the ball over quite a few times. You've got to go back door and see what you can get and put pressure on the rim here. And this guy does a really good job of putting pressure on the basket, but Umber does a good job of rotating over. Okay, what we'd like to see here is when Umber does rotate over, Dom's got to cover down, right? Dom needs to be a little bit lower. He's got to sink. We'd like to see Dom cover down right there to prevent this dump off, right, that's open. But Umber does a good job of rotating over and defending without fouling. Right, we get out and we're able to run the break. Here you'll see a little bit of a busted play. And down here in the corner, you'll see Hines and I tell everybody to back it out. But Dylan had other plans, right? We've been really, we've been in a groove offensively, executing, and we're trying to put it on them here. But when guys are feeling it, they're feeling it. And so Dylan kind of calls off the coaches and just goes and does his own thing, and that's fine. If you're going to do that, you better make it count, and he does. Combo of moves. Prayers to this man's family who was in attendance. Right, like I said, if you're going to call off a play, you better make a play, and he did. So now the lead's ballooned to 19. That's a 12-0 run to start. Again, good defensive possession. Unfortunately, we don't get the rebound right there, but it was still a decent possession. We force a deep three. It was semi-contested. Subs come in, and this is what you want to see. This is how you can tell that the bench is also into the game, right? Whether you're in the game or not, you need to stay invested mentally. So when your number is called, you can go out there and not skip a beat. When we come out here and we keep that same energy as we run two subs on. Right, good job of not allowing them to get to the middle of the floor. Right, they're out here at the volleyball line, tries to penetrate. We're keeping them out of the middle, Still no paint touch. Right, still no paint touch. Good job by Rod to front the post, to get around in front the post. Right, they're looking to feed the post here. Right. Also, I mean, that's a terrible angle. That's really bad, but that's good on ball. That's good pressure, right? Good defensive pressure here to force this difficult pass. The only place he can go is over the top right there, and that's not even open. He doesn't have a really good angle to feed the post right there, but that's due to our defensive pressure. Rodney does a good job of fronting. Vic does a good job over here. They're keeping him out of the middle of the floor, and then Rodney finally gets around. All right. This I thought was a tough call. Rodney makes a move, and we get there's a charge. He gets called for the offensive foul there. Again, scramble situations. I mean, they had nowhere to go. Right, we're here, we're on it, we're scrambling, we're talking and pointing. Rodney gets out. Contested jumper, we board, we get out and run the break. Vic does a good job right here of finding our shooter in the corner. And another back-to-back tough offensive calls, or offensive fouls called right there. That's tough. But he did a really good job Dom does a good job of getting wide, running the floor, calling for the ball when he's open. When he's got that much time, he's going to knock it down. It's an offensive foul. So that's 5 straight that they just took away from us on offensive fouls. So we get a timeout to regroup. Out of the timeout again, defensively, doing a good job. Guys are talking. Another long three-point attempt. We get the board, and on the very next possession, we find the shooter. All right, that's perfect. All right, Vic just found Dom on the opposite side of the floor right here, and he does a good job of pushing and getting off. Right, if you see white ahead of you, like right there, you see white ahead of you, there's white jersey, there's no maroon jersey over there. You've got to get off of this ball, right? And Dom just catches this thing in transition, and it's pure. That's what he does, and that's what Vic does. That's a good job of running the floor and finding your shooter. All right, the next couple videos are just, this is just on ball movement. All right, this is a game against South Park where all 5 guys, you'll see, will touch the ball, bring the ball to the floor there. Second guy touches there. Third guy touches there. We've got nothing. Pass out. Fourth guy. Fifth guy touches. Everybody's now touched the ball. When we move the ball, we're patient. We get what we want. All right. The complete opposite of what Magnolia did in the other clips that you just saw. Right, guys are patient. We don't have anything. Right, Park is scrambling here. We just do a good job of finding the shooter. And then the last two videos are just executing blobs. This is a blob against Park. Really simple. We ran this twice. All right, but this is right before. This is at the end of the quarter, right? Just executing at the end of the quarter. We force a turnover. Ball's out of bounds, right? And this is right at the end of the quarter. It's important to execute at the end of quarters. Give yourself some momentum. Especially in games in which you're down or you're up, at home, on the road, it doesn't matter. But ending quarters is something that we kind of emphasize at toward the end of our season. And this was a game toward the end of our season. And so we really want to emphasize executing whatever it is, a set, a play, or our defensive game plan at the end of quarters. And Dom does a good job of coming off of a screen. Like I said, all he needs is a little bit of daylight, and he gets it and banks it in. The bank was open there. All right. And then the last video, out of a timeout, again, same game. We're running a play. Dom calls the exact same play. Out of the timeout, Hines said we were going to run a different play just to get the ball inbounds, and then we were going to run a set, and which he called in the timeout. But out of the timeout, Dom improvises, right? He comes out and he sees how the defense is guarding it, and right here he's calling it off. Right, he's looking at me and at the bench, and he's calling it off, and he's improvising. He's communicating to the guys, no, we're going to run something different. So then JD gets the call, right? As you see right here, heads are turned. They're looking at Dom. They're looking at JD, right? Dom changes the call, and again, it's something I referenced in the last video. We give our players free will. I mean, to read defenses. That's what a coach wants. You want 5 coaches on the floor, and that's exactly what we had right here. We had 5 coaches on the floor reading the defense, reading the situation, and provide changing the call, and that's perfectly fine. As a coaching staff, we're okay with that. It's not our way or the highway. If you've got something that's going to help the Vikes win, then we're all for it. So right here, they change the call. Everyone gets it. Dom comes off, right? Perfect call by Dom, because going into the fourth, going into the fourth, he had just hit a 3 off of this call on the opposite side of the floor, which you just saw. And so, when one of the best shooters in the district is coming off of a screen, toward the corner, obviously he's on ball right here. That's going to draw 2 defenders, especially when a guy just hit it. And so then we get to our second option of our 4 rolling back to the rim. Right, they take him away. We look his way. See he's not open. 4 rolls back to the rim, and we get a big dunk. Right, big momentum swing for the Vikes right there. Late in the game, there's 2.5 minutes to go. Give us a 16-point lead, and we were able to hold off and beat the number 1 team in our district. So. Like I said, that's volume 3. That wraps up volume 3. It's all about executing. The next volume is going to be a 3-point shootout, in which we're going to look to highlight some of our guys that hit some pretty big threes this year. Camden Gray, Dom, which you saw, Dylan Glover. There'll be a few other guys featured in it. Maybe some of our freshmen and our JV players, but just off of catch and shoot, off of penetrating pitch, and then also just movement without the ball. You'll see a lot of that, especially from Dom, who was face guarded a lot of the season. Once people figured out, or they knew that he could shoot, but once they figured out just how lethal he was, a lot of times he was face guarded, which helped open up the floor for us. a bit, but we also kind of emphasize to him that not to take yourself out of it mentally, but to continue just to move without the ball. And so you'll see some of that in the next volume. We are one.